Debris topic number 3 says, maybe this integration thing was a mistake. And this is in reference to the Kelaia Turner being bullied story. Drop a one if you guys heard about this story during the week. So this will take us to the New York Post that's giving me this ads nonsense. So you know what? Let's take it to a video instead. Um, let's go here. So we'll discuss it after you watch the video. But the the basic story is that at 12 years old, this young lady was being bullied so much she decided to hang herself. And her mother found her cold, and it took the paramedics 8 minutes to get her heart to get her breathing again. So she was basically dead for 8 minutes, and this is such a heartbreaking thing. I saw it, it just broke my heart because now that decision that the young girl made based on being bullied, will forever change the way she lives and how her life is. But we'll watch this piece. It's about a 10-minute piece, and then we'll discuss it.
Is a big update because of you. Because of you. Over $100,000 raised for a story we did this week on Indisputable. Put up the picture full mass. Let me remind you, a black teen girl was bullied. The family was reaching out to people for help. Bullies drove the 12-year-old Kelaia Turner to attempt to take her own life. This happened March 28th, 2023, by hanging from a noose that she fashioned out of a belt. Her mother found her cool to the touch, her nose bleeding, and it took paramedics 8 minutes to find a pulse or a heartbeat. Because the faculty of the institution, according to the report, did nothing. Earlier this week, the family opened a GoFundMe account. Now, the 14-year-old and dependent on tubes to eat and breathe. Her parents recently lost their jobs. They have to deal with limited mobility, the lack of a wheelchair van, and mounting financial stress. The young girl suffered severe brain damage, is unable to speak, still has no control over her body. Turner said she requires a round-the-clock care from the parents and a part-time nurse. Parents are doing the best they can. All right. Quote, we knew that going public, negativity also would be part of the package. Kelaia's mother, Taisha Turner said, wrote Wednesday on her daughter's GoFundMe page. Quote, I pray for the hearts of those who were led to leave negativity on their plate already so full. Those are the type of people I imagine parented the bullies of my child. She continued, I will take a lesson from Kelaia and focus on what Jesus would do. We will continue to be light in a dark place. Fortunately, the bullies have been overwhelmed by people like you. In just one day, the family raised over $111,000, more than 2,100 donors, far surpassing their modest goal of $15,000 to get that wheelchair van. If you would like to contribute more, there it is. They deserve every blessing imaginable. Put them up. Look at them. The family announced this week they were suing Kelaia's teachers and the school district, Greenville County, South Carolina, for negligence and how they responded to the alleged bullying and harassment of their daughter. The bullying dated back to 2021. The mother engaged the institution in good faith when students called her, quote, a man and a roach in teacher Olivia Bennett's class. According to their complaint, Miss Bennett was complicit in the bullying. The teacher was complicit and said nothing to the other students to stop it. One student asked, quote, where's the roach? And Miss Bennett pointed to Kelaia. The school system admits to that one. The following May, the suit alleges one of Kelaia's classmates played a song and video on YouTube called The Black People Song. Teacher John Tier, a co-defendant, quote, allowed the song to be played without any comment on its offensiveness, nor any reprimand to or discussion with the student who played it, the complaint says. She was also called, quote, trans, quote, mustache face, quote, nappy head, and ugmo. In the presence of teachers and school administrators, they did nothing, quote, with no repercussion. Despite the school's zero tolerance to bullying. That's according to a Facebook post by Turner in October. The bullying started in elementary school when Kelaia began to wear her natural hair, and then increased in middle school and began to have a stronger effect on her overall mind, personality, and well-being, Ms. Turner wrote. She says, quote, unfortunately, words do hurt. She told WYFF, I don't think parents understand how a child is received by their peers supersedes everything that you would teach them, that you would pour into them. Kelaia is expected to be permanently disabled and will likely have to undergo medical treatment, including therapy, for the rest of her life. Greenville County Schools denied most of the plaintiff's allegations in its answer to the lawsuit, claimed that they were under some BS immunity, said they are admitting to the whole roach thing. But that's about it. That's all that happened. Put up that GoFundMe again, just in case somebody missed it and they want to contribute and help the family. Bad policy kills people. Bigoted individuals have blood on their hands when they ignore their duty to intervene and responsibility to care. So now you have a child who literally almost unalived herself. And the mother is right. The mother is right. School is not just for academics. I say that to my college students all the time. Culture is important. Years ago, I was a high school teacher. That is a place of social development. It is a social development facility. What good is it if I teach you academics, but you have no morals, ethics? You have no compassion for others. So I think Ms. Turner is saying to parents, me and anyone else who's a parent, understand how strong that social dynamic is, because what you teach at home simply cannot override the societal construct of where they have to go every day, Monday through Friday. All right. Okay. Jordan, this is bittersweet, obviously. I'm glad they'll be able to get the van. That was a big hindrance to their mobility, and hopefully more.
Yeah, absolutely. This is tragic, and it reflects the cruelty that I think a lot of kids learn from their parents. It seems, but like the catalyst here seems to be her race, her hair. Wearing her hair naturally was what led to bullying intensifying. And the point that just really was a gut punch was while she's in the intensive care unit, and you're talking about her, likely being disabled for the rest of her life as a result of her trying to take her own life as a teenager. Think about the severity there, how miserable her life had to have been. She tries to end it, and kids come to her hospital room and take pictures of them and spread them around. That is absolutely repulsive. What Where are the parents? Like we say this often for other things, less trivial things. Like you have failed. You have absolutely failed. You shouldn't be a parent. And the cruelty and callousness of these children who, even though she thankfully did not end her life, they still can't let up. I cannot wrap my head around that. That is just so unbelievably cruel. So my heart goes out to the family. My heart goes out to her, hoping for a miracle here. But this is just
Yeah, hoping for a miracle. I looked at it. I looked at the young lady when she was in better times, when she was like 12 in better times. I look at her now, disabled, and it's really a sad thing to see, man. And it's something I like our youth to also understand too, that try not to make permanent decisions for temporary things. I know when you're going through, because I have children too, and I had to teach them this too. They didn't go through a bunch of this type of stuff, but um, that part of your life will pass you, and in many cases, you won't even really think about it anymore. It'll shape you, but you wouldn't really think about it. So to make a permanent decision, like to end your life, that's a that's that's a tough decision to make at 12. I'm sorry about the circumstances that created it. These people ain't shit, generally speaking. These people who we got to deal with, and you guys know who I mean by that. Um, but it's a lifelong battle with these. It's a generational battle with these people, and we have to. We're gonna have to face it one way or the other. And I'm real sorry that this happened. Um, and stories like these is what we're supposed to be showing our children too. By the way, to remind our children to stay away from these folks too. We got to get active in telling our children and keeping our children away from these folks too. Just like we have to do it with our women as well, and our men. There's a story of the woman somewhere in the South there who went to a sleepover with a bunch of white women and turned up dead. You know what I mean? Like we got to remind us these things shouldn't just pass as passing stories that we mourn for 5 minutes and say, "Oh boy," and then we go right back around. This is more fodder for us to stay away from these folks, man. Black Seal, I'll you know what? I'll start with Buana. Buana, what say you to this?
Yeah, because I was curious to hear what Block Seal thinks, because he probably deals with this all the time in terms of bullying. But I don't, Coco. I mean, what can you say about it? It's a heart wrenching story. I was bullied in school, okay, and I didn't go to my parents about it. I felt like I could have deal with it. There are I don't know what this girl did. If she did actually go to her parents and how they reacted in terms of trying to alleviate and deal with the situation. But I don't know. When it comes to bullying, it's very complicated and complex because one size doesn't fit all. I was able to deal with my bullying with my humor, because if you clown me, I clown you. So we can have a roasting session, you know, and that's how I dealt with my bullies in certain grades, But there are some children who there's this terminal I call it eggshell syndrome. When you say certain things to them, you may not necessarily mean for them to actually break, but they break. They break, they shatter into pieces, and they may do certain things like self harm. But children are absolutely cruel. Children are absolutely cruel, and I don't. It is a. I'm not an integrationist. I'm not an integrationist. But I would say this. I would say this. Fundamentally, I went to a black high school. All of the students is black. Black children can be cruel too. Let me just put that out there. Let me just put that out there. And they'll call you some real racialized names too. Black and ugly and all that nonsense. But I don't know. I think it's how you deal with it, and it's a very difficult fit for the one size fits all. I have not necessarily lived in an environment in terms of going to high school or primary school where I've been called a monkey, and it's because if I'm a monkey and you look like me, you're a monkey too. Yeah? So I've never had to actually deal with it. So I wouldn't know how to respond to it. I would have to seek the advice from someone who actually went through that experience, Koku. So I am more inclined to listen to Black Steel and what he has to say about it and how he actually have to deal with him, Mary Shaw, any other American on the panel who actually have to deal with these kind of situations and going to high school and being called certain names and dealing with a different type of bullying. So I'm up to listening to what they have to say about it, Coco.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. I'm speaking about that racialized bullying that occurs in the states where we're from. To me, it was more of a class bullying, and yeah, to me more than anything, it was a class bullying because that's where looks and how you carry yourself and stuff, how you dress and all that kind of stuff was tied into that.
Oh
By the
man, I
way,
used to get it, Coco. I used to get it, man. You ain't wearing no clocks. You wearing the fake clocks. Your big teeth. Oh God, man, I used to get it. I used to get it.
yeah, I took my share too. I took my share too. You ain't wearing clocks and Lee and all them kind of shit like that. You can get it, man. I saw not too long ago. I saw in I think it was Nassau, a third grader committed suicide, and I saw people talking about, oh man, how can this be? And I'm like, dude, dog, we come from a bullying society. What are you talking about? How
Yeah, but
can
Coco, that's true. But as a matter of fact, a politician guy, his child committed suicide as well. She was I think it's a he or she was getting bullied in school, and they committed to very young person too. And it's a new feature to me because I didn't know to the extent of how a person would be impacted by bullying. I just thought it was a rite of passage. Children go through it and they pass over it until I met a girl. I'm gonna tell you, until I met a girl, a woman. She was a woman at the time. This was a few years ago. And I say hi, whatever your name is. I was like, I ain't see you in a long time. She's like, I'm surprised you talking to me and considering how you treated me in high school. I'm like, what? And you talking about 30, 25, 30 years ago? You still angry at me? People carry these things they have these things in their heart for a very long time. And even though I wasn't the person who was actually bullying her, just because I was among the people laughing, she still remembered that 20, 30 years later. So I mean, I didn't understand the extent of what bullying could actually do to an individual. But I don't know, man. It's just I don't know. Being a more mature person now, an older person now, I understand it. But I don't know. I think that people who went through it, they should talk more to the children and try to advise them on how to go through that experience.
Yeah, and I think of the adults too. I think adults in general need to get kids off up. Like you said, there was a time when we thought that was like a rites of passage type thing. Really is nonsense. Really is nonsense. It's just, man, raise your kids to be kind to others, regardless of socioeconomics or how they dress, how they look. But be kind. But in this situation here, we can't tell these other people to be kind. We already know what the deal is. So you have to kind of, not blaming the victim, of course, but you got to kind of get our kids to understand that it could be rough, but try not to make those kind of choices at such a young age. You know what I mean? In the chat, Marie Shai says, if I have children, I don't want them raised in America. I'm sorry. She goes on to say, yes, I was bullied by black men in middle school. I hated going to school and I was very shy and I would go home and cry. It was a terrible experience for me. Wow, that's very sad.
Was she bullied by black men or black boys? Let's make a distinction here, because children.
Yeah, I was going to ask that question. Is it men who's bullying you, or boys in middle school who were bullying you? Just to be clear. Earlier she said this is disheartening, talking about the story. She says, I feel for the child and family coming from someone who was bullied in middle school as well. Children can be very mean and rude. If any others of you who have been bullied and want to share that and share how you coped with it, how it shaped you today, please share it in the chat. I'll try to read the comments out on the panel. Jose, you saw the story. What are your thoughts?
Yes, I was irritated by the word bullying because yeah, we know what we're dealing with. What happened? What happened to hate crime? Why is this bullying? What happened to hate crime? You understand?
Yeah.
And yeah, I also had a situation like I was like one of my earliest music make group. We had always like the fifth leg, the fifth leg, and he wanted to manage us. Yeah, I want to be the manager. I want to be the manager. And these other guys, they would bully him, belittle him. He had kind of feminine, loose wrist. He had a loose wrist, so those other guys would bullying, but I would be on the bus with him home. Right, it was on the other side of the town, and I would be in the bus with him riding home, and I would try to comfort him. And later on, it's me that he hated because probably I made him feel even worse. Right. So yeah, it depends. It's somebody that is, and I'm speaking of bullying now, not of the case, because that's not bullying, that's a hate crime. But anyway, uh, uh, um, this dude, he probably had more problems with me because I was actually confirming that he was a pitiful little guy. You understand? So instead of hating the guys that bullied him, he hates me. The person that tried to comfort him on the way back home. But anyway, yeah, bullying difficult. It hardens people. I got a German friend, and we speak about bullying. How we were bullied when at school, and and actually, I agree with him. We agree with each other that it hardened us. It gave us a thicker skin. So yeah, bullying depends on the person that is being bullied. In my honest opinion, but this case, this girl, that's not bullying, hate crime. Thank you.
Appreciate that, Jose. Anthony, I keep seeing you trying to come up, and it says something about your camera. Let me try to add you now and see if I can get you up. Anthony, turn down the music in the back. Can you hear me? Anthony. God damn. All right. With that said, Marisha in the chat said, black boys, not black men. This happened in middle school. I apologize. Yeah, it's important to make that distinction. Important to make that distinction. Thanks for clarifying for us there. With everything that's been said, Black Seal, what say you to all of it?
Well, actually, Koku, that video that you posted was actually better than the one that I posted. So thank you for that.
Cool.
Um, One thing I think about this situation, because I was bullied myself, and there was two distinct types of bullying. One, me being in a young black boy who loved to read. I used to love to read books, and I was picked on for that. But then the teachers were not very supportive. My mom would come to the school, and man, my mom would raise hell. I remember this so vividly. My mom would raise hell. But I always had the support of the administration. So my mom put me in a private school. That was a white boy, he was like 8 feet tall in the sixth grade, He used to drop the N bomb towards me. My mom said, "Don't fight back. I'll deal with this." So she went to the school. The boy got expelled from the school. Not suspended, expelled. Another situation when I moved to a larger city here in Florida. And, dealing with some black kids. They were a little rough, little hood kids. They made fun of the way I talked. I talked like a white boy. My shoe was a name brand. Eventually, I started to throw hands. I would put my hands on you if it got too bad. Um, but eventually, it stopped picking on me. I think once I got to high school, it kind of tapered off. Um, what bothers me most about this story, speaking from a teacher's perspective, is the teachers joining in and not protecting her, because there are definitely tools the teachers could have used to prevent all of this. So, for example, uh, you can, at the very least, the first time you call her a roach, all right, you got a day at ISS. Keep it up, you get 2 days. I don't see anything about any referrals being written to the office. I don't see any phone calls being made to the parents about the situation. Um, it's just complete negligence on the part of both her teachers. It's happened in middle school and elementary school. Both of those teachers need to lose their license, because they could have nipped this in the bud from the very beginning. Why were no referrals written? Why were no calls made home to the parents? Okay. Apparently, the girl fought back. She was suspended, not the kids who initiated. In unsports situations, you suspend both kids. So this is the ongoing, well-known situation, right? So the parents joined in. The teachers joined in on this situation. They need to lose their license. They definitely need to see some jail time. They need to be bankrupted, if you ask me. They need to lose everything. No money, no pension, lose it all. Because you had an obligation, you had a responsibility to protect this child. When a child is in your custody during those school hours, you are their parent. Okay? You have to protect that child. And they were negligent. They were criminal in their neglect of Kelaia. Number one. Number two, and I'm not gonna blame shit to blame, but mom and daddy, this shit went on for a year and a half. After she got suspended for fighting back, she should have been taken out of that school. Period. She should have been taken out of that school. Switch her to another school, homeschool her if you have to. But after you've seen the school is completely ignoring your request to protect your child, she should have been taken from that school, removed from the school. Still go through the lawsuit, but you could have did distance learning. There's online learning. She should not have been in that school. And I don't want to blame the victim. That's not what I'm doing. I grieve for them. I'm a father myself. I'm a teacher. This should never have happened. But she should have been taken out of that school. Period. Put her on long distance learning, put her on homeschool, but get her out of there. I think sometimes as parents, we don't understand that bullying has changed from when we were kids. There was a time where a kid would bully you, you could go home and forget about it. Now, because of social media, it's constant. There's no respite for you. They even snuck to her hotel room. All right. There was no relief for this poor child. Right. So taking her out of that school would have been, I think, probably the best thing to do to protect her, because it's obvious the school doesn't care about her well being. Take her out of there. Fuck them. She can get homeschooled. She can move to a different school. I'm assuming the bullies are white because they haven't showed their names. The teachers we know are white, right? Um, it's just a tragedy all the way around. I don't. She was dead for 8 minutes. All right. The brain damage she suffered. She has no mobility. She can't speak. I can't imagine what those parents are going through. And maybe they even think to themselves, maybe it would have been better if we would have just let her go, right? But I can't stake to that, because who wants to let their child go? Who wants to let their baby go from this earth? Anthony, you gotta get this fixed, bro. You're killing me. You're killing me, Anthony. Killing me. But Black people have to understand and teach our children, not just, but these white people are our enemies, right? And the fact they honed in her natural hair. She stopped wearing weave, started to wear braids. She was a beautiful girl, beautiful. She wore braids. Her hair was very nice, very cute, very intricate, and it was wonderful. But they chose to hone in on her features, her African hair. Um, Anti-blackness is so powerful in our society, and we don't prepare our children for this because, believe it or not, white people are teaching their kids to hate your blackness. White people teach their kids. I shared. White people teach their kids to be racist. Okay, I'm gonna tell a story. I might have told the story before, but I'm gonna tell it again. My son was in Boy Scouts. He was maybe in third grade. He wanted to join the Boy Scouts. He wanted to go on camping trips or whatever. I said, sure, whatever. You want to join the Boy Scouts? I'll go with you. So I was a scout leader too. I was in there with the other kids. So one of the lessons they were talking to the kids is about respect, right? So the scout master, this white dude, saying, hey, you know what? In many cultures, you know, people show respect by bowing. Can you guys name a culture that shows respect by bowing? And the white boy jumps up and says, ooh, I know, Ching Chong Chinese. And then he does his eyes, he does a little slant with his eyes. The dad is looking absolutely mortified, right? So my son looks at me, I look at him, right? I'm thinking to myself, no, white man, this boy didn't just pick this up. That's something he learned from you at home. Don't be scared now because your child is reflecting his racism. I teach in the schools. These kids, especially, let me tell you something too. Trigger Happy's not here, which he was. But some of the most racist stuff I hear is from the mixed raced black kids, especially those who have a black mother, a black father, and a white mother, right? Brothers, black men out there, you got to be careful where you lay your seed. If you're going to reproduce with a white person, and I don't recommend it, but if you do, you need to make sure you are in that child's life because the hatred they're going to receive from their white side of the family, they're going to regurgitate that and spew it. I heard mixed race black children, black father, white mother, make George Floyd jokes, call other black kids, not nigger, hard R-E-R. Shut the fuck up, nigger. Right? Sounding like Klan members. And I don't know if it's the same thing with black mother, white father, because there's not a lot of it. I'm not saying this is just, it's not as prevalent. But there's a lot of racism coming from these biracial children. If you're going to reproduce with a cave monkey, all right, you want to reproduce a Neanderthal, stay in that child's life. Don't try to come back over here and don't be in your kid's life because look at Doja Cat. Look at Doja Cat as a prime example of how racist she is on racist chat rooms showing pictures of her feet and shit. You know what I'm saying? But overall, I grieve for this family. I grieve for them. I can't imagine what they're going through as parents. Those people kill their child because she's never going to be the same after this. She's never going to grow up, have a family, get married, go to college, go to prom, buy a home. They took everything from her, right? For nothing. So I'm glad that the GoFundMe did so well. I'm glad other people saw this horrendous thing that was done to this child. And I'm sorry that she felt that this was the only way to end her suffering. I wish I had been her teacher because everybody was getting rid of, everybody getting referrals, everybody going out of school suspension, 10 days. We have a situation where you get suspended so many times you can't come back unless your parent has a meeting. They would have did what they call a protection plan. Like you can't talk, you cannot be around this other student, or it's an automatic expulsion. There were so many things that could have been done to protect this girl, and these crackers didn't give a fuck. They need to lose everything. I'm feeling like the claims adjuster, the claims adjuster. I feel like him. Get the silencer. Where they go to school at? Call the claims adjuster. He can adjust
Black
these.
steel. Black
Yes.
steel. They don't, as a teacher, they
Yes,
don't
sir.
have a they don't have a students advocate, because I'm knowing that they probably have a teachers advocate, where if things like this happen, some teacher could step in and speak on the teacher's behalf. Don't schools have like a students advocate, like in case in these kinds of cases, a person who understands the system and who could go to bat for them on their behalf, because they're being bullied or something has happened that's deleterious to them in school. Don't they have like a student advocate in school, or am I wrong about that?
Not so much middle school. Maybe high school. My school doesn't have one, but not so much middle school though. But they do have student government. They do have counselors. I mean, the school counselor should have been involved in this. I don't know. I mean, most schools have a counselor. Most schools have a resource officer. Um, Complete dereliction of duty in this situation. I don't know of a student advocate to deal with this situation, but I do know as far as an advocate for the child, she could have had help. She could have had assistance. Something could have been done to protect her, and that wasn't done. So the lawsuit is very valid. I hope they get everything. I've been talking for a while. I'm sorry. I'll let everybody. If anybody else want to speak, I'm sorry. But thank you, Kobe.
No apologies necessary. No apologies necessary because it was your prompt to anchor, and you're a teacher. So in America, so we needed to hear from you really and truly on this one. And I like the follow up question Buana asked as well. Something Jose said earlier made me kind of chuckle in a bad way in my mind when he was talking about his friend. Buana will tell you one of the biggest bullying tactics where we're from is people calling you a sissy or some shit like that. So it was very interesting to hear that where Jose is, it was something similar going on. Um, yeah, I wish I was this. No offense, but I wish I was this child's parent as well, man. You gotta get to these kids early and tell them don't make permanent decisions on your own. I know things could look bad, it could be tough, but to make a permanent decision like this, and unfortunately, or maybe fortunately in some people's eyes, she was rescued and now has to live a life, disabled. That whole thing just made me sad and had me messed up when I saw this story earlier this week. Well, it's funny too. I don't know if anyone saw this. I think I reposted it on Twitter. A black guy said that his child was being bullied, and because a black father, and because he couldn't directly go and do nothing to the other child who was bullying his child, he got his brothers and stuff to jump the child's father.
I heard
Uh,
about that. That's crazy. I ain't mad at it though. I'm not mad at it.
I ain't too mad at it either. They beat up the other child's father in front of the child to let them know what bullying looks like and what you shouldn't do, and what happens when you do bully other people's children. I thought that was very interesting. So, any other thoughts? Last thoughts? Added words you guys have for this prompt? So, Anthony, we got to work on your setup, gentlemen on the panel. Let me just quickly ask you guys this question: when you guys click the link, it just asks you to fill in a name or something, right? And then it just goes straight through, or do you have to do other machinations to get
I
on?
just
No,
did
that's just filling the name.
fill in a name, and once you put your name in, it lets you get your go. So that's all I had to do.
If Anthony know to cut off his YouTube, well, cut if he's on a laptop, just cut off your YouTube so the background doesn't play. So you are just receiving the whatever you need to receive from the site directly. So that's where the noise is coming from. I'm thinking, but I don't know if it keeps saying my microphone is low or some jive. Okay. Um, The only thing I would say about that is if you have an earphones, if you have like some kind of earphones, Anthony, get an earphones and put it in your laptop. Maybe that might be able to help. Get your earphones and then cut your volume up in your earphones. Try that. Try that.
Real quick question, gentlemen: are you guys using Chrome as a browser?
Yes.
Yeah, me
Yes.
too. I'm using
And
Chrome.
that might be the issue too. You may be, I don't know if you're on Chrome or some other thing. If you are on, you may be on Microsoft Edge. If you're on Microsoft Edge, go on Chrome. Chrome is better, for this kind of platform. But yeah, but if you want any kind of other, like a Safari, try to see if you could download Chrome and go use Chrome to try to get on like that. So Anthony, if you're listening to me.
In my experience, from the other one with the duck, I don't know about this one, but the other one with the duck, uh, Safari was better than Chrome. So
Oh,
I use Safari also with Zoom. Zoom calls. I prefer Safari because it's less bullshit.
okay. I think Andy said he's using Chrome. So Andy, you heard what everyone had to say. Try different things. Maybe your phone. I don't know. Older phones might be a problem too. I don't know if that's the case. If that's the case, then there's nothing that we can do. But I'm trying to get you up because I really would have liked to hear your thoughts on a few of these different conversations that we've had so far tonight. By the way, shout out to Kofi the Black Critic. I saw him in the chat earlier. He said, "Hey family." So shout out to Kofi the Black Critic. You guys make sure tune into all the other shows on KWAZ Radio. If you tune into The4Kast during the week, he does a version of Shoot the Breeze himself in a sense, him and Cassidra Cheek. So tune into that show. Follow Brother Bakari, follow Kofi, follow the matron, and everyone else. Someone needs to mute their mic up here. So mute your mic. Um, with that said, it's Black Steel, I see. With that said, let's go to Shoot the Breeze topic number 4.